Hello YouTube. Kind of been absent lately. Had a lot of other stuff to do, but have some videos that I really want to get to, so I'm going to try to knock a few out over the next few days for you. And the first one is on these two chunks that used to be joined here at one time. And this is from Sandy at Jackloreknives, and you remember that he took a knife just to test it. He wanted to see what it would do, and just beat the heck out of it. He had a big old piece of stump, and he took a sledgehammer, drove it in the stump repeatedly, smashed it on the side, knocked the stump all over the yard, trying to break it. He never did succeed in breaking it. So he said he was going to throw it in the trash, and I thought, well, I'd like to really see that. I was really impressed by the abuse that it took, and I thought I would give it a shot and see what I could do with it. And he kindly sent it to me, and I want to thank him for that. He's just a great guy to deal with. And as you can see, the knife is now in two pieces. That's not the story. The story is what it took to get it into that shape. When I got it, the knife was slightly bent up in one direction and also twisted a little bit. Now you could have annealed this knife, put it right back straight, put a handle on it, and it would have been good as new and retempered it. But I really wanted to see, I just was really impressed with the amount of abuse that this thing took. And I really wanted to see just what it would take to break it. And folks, it took a lot. I first decided that rather than annealing it, I'd see if I could straighten it without breaking it. Now, when you bend a knife that's tempered, and it's like this one, I think it's around 58 Rockwell. You get up around 58, 60, etc., and you get a good bend and twist, and you lay it on a metal plate and try to bang it out straight without annealing it. There's a good chance you'll break it at that point. Well, I couldn't do that. In fact, it was extremely hard. I tried first with a hammer. I couldn't even move it, and then got a small sledge, a hand sledge that I have. It's maybe 3 pounds, and finally managed to bang it out fairly straight. And there was never any edge on this. He never put an edge on it because he didn't intend to actually use this knife. He just wanted to test for the knife's toughness. So I drove it in a bunch of stuff. Did the same thing he did to it with exactly the same results, and couldn't do anything to it. So then I thought, well, I really at that point wanted to go ahead and break it and see what the grain structure looked like, because that's the only way you can tell anything about the tempering on a knife. And Sandy does his own. He has his own oven, and he's obviously doing a great job. I chucked it up in a vise so there was no give whatsoever, and then started banging on it with that 3-pound sledge. I couldn't break it. Most of you that know me and seen me, I'm not a small guy, and I could not break it with that, and had to resort finally to getting out a full-size sledgehammer. And at that point I finally succeeded in breaking the thing. And I'm going to try to, I'm hoping that this will show this, because I really want you to see it. That grain structure is so fine all the way across there. It's just what you want to see. There's no inclusions, there's no chunks, there's nothing big. If you look at it under a glass or even magnify it, it's just smooth, uniform, exactly what you want to see. And it just broke from being overpressured. I mean, it was just more than the steel could take. Then I took this piece that was left and I just made a quickie sheep's foot blade, put a quick edge on it, and decided to beat on this a while and see what I could do with it. So I got this stuff here that I actually got from work. This is plywood. It's like a construction laminated beam thing. There's a lot more to it than that. These are just sections that I cut off. I use it for different stuff, and it's about 2 inches thick, and it is really gnarly. The glue, the varnish, everything they use on it. And basically what I did was take this on the edge, beat it in with a sledgehammer, and then just popped it over and popped the piece out. And I kept driving it in and did that and driving it in and checking the edge. And I got no edge damage whatsoever. So I did that for a good long while, and then finally I started to see just a couple reflective spots, and I thought, aha, at last I have done something to this knife. And then I looked down into the cut, and what did I see? But I was cutting through a staple. These are some of the notches I took out of this, and there's more on another piece. I wasn't going to drag it upstairs, but I would drive this thing in like to here and then just twist it out. In fact, I had a pipe wrench one time to snap the piece out of there, and I'm just thoroughly impressed with him. He's got his temper down just right. In fact, I told him I wouldn't change anything. It holds a really good edge. Obviously, when I hit that staple right there, which is pretty thick piece, I managed to put some small dings into it, but nothing that I could sharpen it out by hand in just a couple seconds. But it took just huge abuse. And I think enough of it before I made this video. I got on his waiting list before I told everyone else my findings. But perfect grain structure, exactly what you want to see. Everything evenly distributed. I bet if you did a micrograph of this, you'd find that all the stuff that's supposed to be converted, and all the martensite and all the other things that are in there have done what they're supposed to do. He really nailed it. So if the rest of his knives are, you know, that they're coming out of the temper and the annealing and the heat treat and everything like this, they're really strong. He uses an 01 around 58 RC. And it's he told me that I believe it's Sandy, correct me on this if I'm wrong, is it no, I'm not even going to guess, I can't remember, but it's called a Saxon steel. I was trying to remember where he was telling me he was buying this, but it's a precision finished steel, and obviously they're doing a real good job of making this stuff, as well as his heat treat. I'm going to keep this, put a handle on it, and use it as a splitting knife for pocket knives and things like that. I don't know how many of you know, but that's what I actually started out doing and did for years, was pocket knife repair, things like that, case knives, charade, etc. And use a tool similar to this to split the pins apart when you're going to take one apart to replace a blade or fix a back spring, whatever you're going to do to it. I'm going to do a little video series on it. I'll show you some of the old-timey tools that I used to do it. The guy that taught me was a guy named Ben Kelly. He was an old case service repairman. They used to have regional repairs, and Case would send out all the repair parts to the folks, and then you would send your knives there. I assume that the idea was to have it local, get them mailed into them quicker, get them back quicker, or something like that. I'm sure the economy of it made sense at the time. And so that's kind of where I got my start. And he was a great guy to learn from. He really, really knew a lot. And learned a lot from Case. And so I'll keep this. My old one, I had been using an old Joseph Rogers and Sons butcher knife that was broke off almost this length, and been using it for years, and it's kind of getting used up, so I need a new tool. This will be just perfect for that. So it's still not going to go to waste. This is still going to be a serviceable and useful tool for quite a few years, I hope. And anyway, if it'll chew into this stuff like this, the way I was wrenching on this and busting these pieces out, it's more than proved itself to me. Like I say, I've got on his order list, and I can't wait to get one. It's just good stuff. It took everything I threw at it and then some. Like I say, I couldn't break it with a little hand sledge. I actually had to resort to a full-size sledgehammer, and finally managed to break it. And it took me about 5 whacks with that thing before I could break it. So I'd say it's more than proved itself. Everyone take it easy, and if you haven't been to his website, his YouTube channel, give him a look. He does a lot of really great instructional videos. He'll show you a lot of things, his way of making a knife and doing things. And that's Jackloreknives. And if you just do a search for Jackloreknives on YouTube, you'll find it, and I'll put a link. You know where the link goes, right down there. So you guys take it easy, and we'll talk to you later.